go ahead and select that now. And that we're also capturing live transcription of this meeting, which will help us to take notes and make sure that we don't miss anything important. So, uh, I want to once again welcome everybody and let you know that we've got some great news just to start off with. Although Janet Brewer and Patrick James Lynch aren't here tonight, they submitted a grant request to the Hemophilia Alliance Foundation and it was approved. And the request is to create videos documenting women's stories and to create a resource library to include healthcare professional recommendations that are sensitive to women with bleeding disorders. And we're so thrilled that that happened. They're not here, but I just really want to applaud them. They took this idea and ran with it. So we're looking forward to what that's going to look like. We want to welcome our advisory board, and we have quite a few folks that have signed on. And I'd love to share this with you just very quickly so you can all see who your advisory board is. And then we'll get started with Ray. So you all see that? And some of you are on the call. So we want to thank everyone that did agree to come on board. Your contributions are going to be just tremendous. And we welcome you and look forward to everything moving forward. So thanks again. So Ray, do you want to go ahead and let everybody know kind of what the evening is going to look like very quickly?
Yeah, well, welcome everybody. It's good to see new people, old people, everybody here. First, I want to say I was really glad about that grant. It's not our grant; it's a grant that they did, their organizations did. So we can make inroads with every organization to that goal of achieving better care for women and diagnosis and medication for women. That then we're moving forward and we're accomplishing what we want to do. Um, this evening we don't want to take up a lot of your time. We just want to basically break out in sessions, in groups, basically, and have a science and data group, have a women collecting stories group, and a communication group, and basically start framing how we're going to move forward. And to do those actions, so laying the groundwork so we could achieve the goal, basically. And again, I'm so excited to get the grant. I can't wait to start hearing the stories.
Great. So what we're going to do now is we've created 3 breakout rooms. One is science and data, and that's going to be led by Steve Long and Ray Datoli. And then tell your story, which is going to be led by Marianne May and Milena Pernot. And then the last one we have is our communications, which did feature Janet and Patrick, although neither of them could be on the call tonight. So go ahead and select a breakout room that interests you, and let's see. I guess I go ahead and open all these rooms. This is fun. I still have to admit some folks are just popping in and they're not going to know what to do, but I can explain it to them. Hi, everyone that's just joining us. Okay, so I'm going to open the rooms. Now,
She's in Oregon, by the way.
Are you guys able to select the rooms on your own?
I do not see the rooms, Ashley.
You can't see the rooms. All right,
No.
I guess I have to put you in them, which is unfortunate. But I will go ahead and start doing that, and people can just tell me in the chat what room you'd like to go into, and then I can go ahead and put you in there. And Also, the men are welcome to go into the tell your story room if that's something that you're interested in listening to. We would welcome that. So, okay, I'm gonna start. Here we go. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate that. People are putting their names in there. I got you, Priscilla. And if you're wondering which room to go in, you're welcome to join any room, whichever one you like. I think we're about halfway through. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Next time, I'll figure it out so you can all select. But I don't know why it just doesn't offer that to us anyway.
Does anyone else feel like they're getting picked last for the soccer team by being still here?
Yeah.
Go, Kimberly. Tell me where you want to go.
I don't care.
How about,
No,
can I put you in communications?
no, the other one. I don't. Why do you need people in communications?
There's no one in it, but maybe that's okay. Tell
Yeah.
your story or science and data.
Yep. Well, do everybody else. That's fine. I was just being cute. I'm sorry. I
Okay.
wasn't so cute.
No,
I meant to be cute.
I have to dig through the text, the chat.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to be in science and data too. This is Danielle Nance.
Thank you, Danielle. Yeah, and at this point, guys, just yell it out.
Same for me. Science and data.
Okay, thank you. How about you, Laura?
I wanna story room.
Got it? Okay, Lou?
I sent you a message for communications, but no, if nobody's in there, you can put me in science and data.
Okay. Len,
Science and data.
thank you. Martina Willis McCullough,
Science and data.
thank you. Let's see. Laura, I thought I put you in story, but it didn't click. All right, and we have Cassie Miller.
Stories, please.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go pop into, oh wait, she didn't go. Oh, there she went. Okay. I'm gonna go pop into Marianne so she can record.
Okay, and if you put me in something, I'm gonna end up just going dark, because now I've got an EAP that somebody is like,
Yeah, no worries. Just go dark.
Okay,
You're good.
okay,
Stay there.
okay, cool.
Okay. Right, bye. Okay. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm
I'm
good.
sorry I'm late. Thank you so much for including me. I just got home a few minutes ago, so
Oh,
I apologize. Thank
No,
you.
thank you for hopping on. And I'd like to put you in a room if you don't mind. We've got either science and data or tell your story.
I think I'd like tell your story. I'd like to be
Okay.
able to hear those stories. I think that
Yeah.
will help me moving forward with
Yeah. Okay. Hi, Glenn. Did you get kicked out of your room?
No, I got sent to the wrong room.
Okay. Science and data?
No, that's where I got sent. I asked for communications.
Oh, sorry. There's no one in there.
Oh, okay, then science
Yeah.
and data. Okay,
Okay. And which one? You want tell your story or science and data?
science and data.
Okay. Thank you, Glenn. Sorry about that. Should send you over. There we go. Okay. So now, how do I join?
I'm gonna put in my email address.
Hi, just checking in, making sure you got this, Marianne.
What am I getting?
Just running your breakout room. That's all.
As far as I know, I just sent my email address. Do you guys see it? Do you ladies see it?
We got it. She's doing
Okay.
great, Ashley.
Thank you.
So
Okay.
what happens is if you have a story you want to tell, you'll
One thing we noticed,
Can I just add something, Ray?
yeah,
I'd say yes, maybe this is maybe this is a situation in all excellent conditions, but the hemophilia population has had treatment centers since 1973. So I'm going to go out on a limb here as Chris Templin and say they've really done a piss poor job at taking care of my mother, my sister, my other female relatives that they've known about since 1973 because my family.
Hi, who do we have? Who's on the line here at 551?
Hi, sorry, this is Marjorie
Hi.
with Octapharma.
Oh,
Hi.
wonderful. Okay, so what we've done is we've broken out into rooms, either tell your story or the science and data group. These are working groups. So if you let me know which one you'd like to go in, would it be okay if I rename you?
Yeah, I apologize. I apologize for joining late. Trying to think what would be the best. You said the two room options were tell your story or
The science and data group.
science and data group. I will join the science and data group if that's okay.
Absolutely. And Marjorie, how do I spell your name just so I get it right?
Yeah, it's MARJORIE.
Okay.
And I apologize. I am new to these meetings and to what is kind of a last minute addition. Is it more of a discussion forum or is it a presenter?
No, it's a discussion forum. It's a working group, and you'll hear that it's kind of you know, in the we're 2 months and 3 days old, so this
Okay.
is the first working group meeting, and yeah, so don't worry, you're as new as the whole
Okay.
shooting match.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put you in a room. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Hi, Len. Did you get kicked out?
No, I joined from a different device. Move me into science and data. Thanks,
Ah.
Ashley.
Got you. You're welcome. Hi, Jeremy. Can you see me? Hi. Okay, so what we've got going on is either the science and data working group or tell your story. They're breakout rooms.
Let's go to science.
You got it. Okay. It's a packed room in there.
I see you're getting your response, reply all emails on your invite about the women's thing. So it's always fun. Need to know what every single person on that email is saying.
Hi. Are you
My
okay?
God,
Marion?
I am, but it's asking me questions. I don't know how to answer them, so I'm just gonna ignore it.
Okay. Did you close your room? Is that what happened?
I think everyone left.
Oh, got it. Okay. Perfect.
No, it's asking me if I want to close all the breakout rooms. I'm just gonna keep them open because they're still in there, right?
Yes, the science and data room is still going, although maybe they're not, because it looks like people are coming back.
All right, so I have now got more questions than we started with,
That's
which I
great.
will pass along to you afterwards.
Okay. And
Because-
I'm having terrible times with my email because I made a beautiful letter that you had made, and I put it on the letterhead and everything, and I can't attach it to my email for some reason. So
It's
once
because
I
I
get
knew I
that-
was still editing.
yeah, oh right, yeah, good point. So
Yes, and now we have more of these questions, which is great.
that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It's exciting.
Because we had a couple of medical professionals that gave us suggestions. And one of the things that one of them said was that, like, if you want stories, that'll bring awareness, but if you want data, you have to throw out the questions.
Yes,
to people,
yes.
Which
Well, and that's what the science and data working group is working on. Which questions to ask from the stories and which ones to ask from
perspective of passing it on to
the
professionals.
sources. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
No,
I
we had some really good talks, and I will pass this all on to you.
exciting.
I know. I explained that we were brand new, so we didn't really know where we were headed yet, but we would find all the answers because you can't just have straight data. You can't have straight stories. You've got to have a little of both,
Yeah.
depending on what you're looking for.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right, I'm gonna give them the 2-minute mark.
And
Yes.
we have Stormy, who is like, not only got the cute little accent, she has the history.
Yeah, I can't imagine the conversation, but I didn't want to go in the other room because Rocio told me that when I left the room, it stopped recording.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so
Oh, I didn't stop recording in my room. Is it going to do it all by itself because we left?
it will, yeah. But I didn't want to like go back and forth, so
Okay.
it's really unfortunate.
This says it's still recording, whatever that means.
That's, yeah, it should be because we're recording now.
Okay.
We're learning.
Yes. True story.
And Milena did not show up. Laura, how are you?
I am fine. I have surgery this month.
Yes, you did. Yeah, you look
Yeah.
amazing.
Everything is fine.
Fantastic.
Only I have so much bruises. So the doctor sent me with the hematology because maybe have some problem.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, but that's good. I say to Marian, it's after long time. It's so complicated. My primary doctor say, oh, you can have hemophilia. So I say, the woman can have hemophilia. So
Of course.
anyway,
Yeah, well, that's why we're here.
yeah, it's complicated.
I'm glad you're doing well, Laura. I saw you were camping.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
Laura, Medexus has some really good, and I can send you some if you need it. It's a pamphlet that's written for healthcare providers about hemophilia B and women. And they have another pamphlet. If you would like, I can send you some of that to have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll send you a message or something and get your
Yes,
address.
please. You have my phone number, no? Or my email?
I think I do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Stormy.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Stormy. Well, I closed the room. Let's see what's happening. Looks like, oh, they have 25 seconds. Oh, that's funny. They are having a lively conversation because they've been getting all the warnings and they're not giving it up. So this is great.
Do any of you know about, I used to have this, I cannot find it anywhere, but there was a study done years ago that showed that for every male with hemophilia, there would be 3 to 5 females connected that were affected. I used to have it and I have researched and looked.
I sent you my email, Stormy.
Okay.
Stormy, why don't you say it again now that everyone is on?
Okay. So a long time ago, I saw an article about a study that said for every male with hemophilia, there would be 3 to 5 females connected that would be affected in some way. I have not been able to find that again. I lost it when my computer crashed. Does anybody know about that? Or
I think, Stormy, you might be referring to a study done by Carol Casper.
Okay.
And it's not, I think it was 3-point-something potential carriers.
Okay.
But then when actually tested, so they found the connected women, and then when actually tested, I think it ended up being 1.6 true carriers. And then of those carriers, now remember the times were different. I think it was about 30% of them, the 1.6, had factor levels below 30% because that's what they looked at the time.
Yeah, we keep using the term 30%. It's probably based on that. If you actually look at the chance of which sex will predominate, that number should probably be closer to 50%.
I know one of the talks I went to recently said that there was 50,000 women with bleeding disorders with hemophilia.
Yeah, but are we scooping up all the bleeding disorders, all the super rares and everything else? Because if you add von Willebrand's, that's a huge percentage.
Bingo.
We should be, yes. I think that's a great idea. We definitely want to include them. I wanted to offer, just let you guys know, we'll talk for the next 7 minutes. Open discussion. Keep going.
it sounds like with all the data we have out there, I mean, we're getting all different points, 50%, 40%. We don't really know. I mean, and that seems to be and if they don't want to diagnose and look at women and run the tests that we need them to run, we're not going to find out. And then to ask pharma to do clinical trials, that's not fair because they don't have the base to do the clinical trials unless the treaters acknowledge that they should have been. It's kind of like we're caught in this loop, and that's one thing I identified in the beginning is that who do we need to talk to? Who's actually running the show? And it's kind of hard to pin down.
Sorry, Ray. Didn't mean to step on you. I see Dahab has her hand raised. Dahab?
Hey, Ashley. So I know we've been doing a lot of talking about all the data and everything. And I just wanted to say, what I found is that we could collect and collect forever if we don't actually start by going to legislature and getting that going and establishing for women. That's where we have to start. We can collect forever and we can try and make it, okay, we've got A, we have B, we have, von Willebrands, and, the list goes on and on. But without making ourselves a priority and starting at the very top and saying, okay, you have a patient that comes in, that's a female. Okay, you need to do this, this, and this because the law says so. So that's, my take on it. Because if we don't establish it across the states, across the nation as a whole, we're still going to see all this discrepancy because now we're going to talk about details and we're going to say, well, the numbers are this and that. No, this has got to be, okay, we have a woman that came in, she has a bleeding disorder. Okay, we're going to do this holistic approach because our law says we have to. Okay, so that's my take on it.
What's important here is something we all know from advocacy. Any good idea you have, any law change you want, always takes several years to build a case. And we need to start doing that, which we're doing to some degree anyway. We need to go much further in doing that now and continue to build our case as the scientific data begins to come in to back up why women bleed more than men with the same factor number. That work is being done by the Blood Disorders Network, I believe, in Athens. That stuff is it's still coming down the pike. It's going to take us several years to get that. We need to build our case from the events data, as I call it, in the interim, and start advocating with that, and then we come in with the science behind it.
And that's
the idea was always to take this information and basically collect it in one place, which Steve will be in charge of that. Whatever studies we can find, whatever studies are ongoing, whatever updates from studies are going, and then actually make that data actionable. That's the final goal, to make that stuff actionable. It's not just to sit around and we have it, great, we're going to look at it. No, we want to make it actionable.
Yeah, most modern databases are what they call relational. It's been that way for quite some time. And when it's a relational database, you should be able to exchange data, aggregate it together. So again, get me the scientific links on that if you can. That would be the best way to build it.
Yeah, what I'm seeing is something that the Dr. Danielle Nance mentioned, that the woman should be treated based on the symptoms, not the factor levels. And that is something that is very important to our community, because regardless of, as we speak on the data information that we need to collect, every different factor of what is the component for the hemophilia world, as the people, the community, the doctors, everybody is going to give us a different kind of data that is only going to be, as you mentioned, Ray, it's going to be functionable until it's current, until we know there is something that, as somebody else mentioned also in our group, is going to be accountable for what they do, what they don't do. And Josh mentioned something about CDC and FDA being acknowledging that we have problems in the bleeding disorder community, but they don't do anything. It might be because it's our community, the one that has to do the impulse to move something which is already happening here. But yes, it's gonna take time. I hope that if we all get together and we call all the other organizations that are not united on this coalition, we could work together faster so we can give all this information in, you know, in shorter time. But I believe that it's gonna take us a good time, and it's gonna be community, it's gonna be providers, it's gonna be pharma, it's gonna be all the government aspect also that is gonna help us to manage and to hold accountable the organizations that are not doing the work that they're supposed to do.
I see Dahab and then Ray have their hands raised. I'm not sure, Dahab, if you raised your hand again. If so, go ahead.
Sorry, I thought I took it down. Ashley, thank you.
No worries. Okay, so Ray and then anybody else, and then we should move on and close. Thank you.
I just want to say this. No, one, I'm really impressed of the response we got for 2.5 months. The organizations that bought in, the organizations that said, yes, great idea, we want to help. I mean, we reached Canada. We didn't announce that. We had a call with the Ashley, remind me your name.
Milena Piernat.
Yes, from Hemophilia Moms on Face Group, which basically talks to over 10,000 hemophilia mothers. And believe me, what she told us, basically, they're ahead in advocacy and everything else. The other thing I'd like to say is go back to your organizations, and just to have people in the community, regular old community members and their families join the movement is a big plus. We learned this with HIV and we learned it with hepatitis. The other thing is, don't forget to make contact with the men in our community. I have a story. It's my personal story of hemophilia, but that's not the story I have also when it relates, if nobody knows, my wife is Lou. When I watch her and what she goes to and what women in my family have gone to, that's the story that I need to tell, not my hemophilia journey, but watching women in our community go through their journey. So, and the other thing I'd like to see, and I know there's organizations that have the power here to do it, are more presentations to make men understand how women bleed. A lot of us, and I've encountered it, we have care. We approach it from well, doesn't everybody have care? And what's the difference? We don't understand why you're being stonewalled, or so we'd like something that basically would get to, and where men could ask more questions, get to the root of what are you going through? And I'd like to explain, men, I feel, at least I am as a man, you got to explain things to me like I'm 5. Don't laugh, ladies. Okay. So that's what I would like to, that's how I would like a woman to explain her bleeding disorder to me, like I was 5. So now I fully grasp what she's talking about. And then I could get into the fight, because a lot of our men are having women as daughters. They're wondering, what's their care going to be like? So if there's anything that, companies or nonprofits on the call putting together and you're thinking about this, maybe something geared to men that's going to explain more about women and their bleeding disorders and the fight you have to go through.
Thank you, Ray. I wanted to ask if there are any initiatives that we should be supporting and that you would like to share that you are doing from your organization. So
I'd like to bring up one that HFA is doing called Project Echo. They're trying to reach out and get the message out to OBGYNs, because a lot of times that's where the women are first presenting with these situations. And so they've got, I think, a 4-part series on that. Shelley, you may know more details on it. But basically, I know that it's an important outreach. I pinged Ashley and a few others on that to get the word out.
I did put it in the link. I sent it out to our very long list of treaters that we have. So I was happy to see that. Thank you. Any other things that we should know about and that we can support?
I already doing the meetings for the Hispanic community to let them know what is that we're doing, to listen to their stories, inviting them to collect and gather the families' stories as well. And also I'm getting together with this woman's person to person to have the time to grasp everything that it has to be done. And basically is doing these meetings in person and also in Zoom for our community. That's it.
Rocio, we should connect you with Janet and Patrick so that some of those can be collected in the video format that they're going to do. It's going to be professionally done. So when you're interviewing them, be thinking about a couple of them that really stand out to you.
Yep.
I see Stormy has her hand raised, and then Ray again.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that when I'm doing my public speaking, about my story and all, 9 times out of 10, there is a young father of girls sitting in there that has absolutely no idea, some not even that their daughter are a carrier. But a lot of them, when I say I have hemophilia, they're like, you mean a carrier, right? And I'm like, no. And they're just shocked. And so I think that's some education that really needs to be done too, so that these girls are diagnosed at a younger age and they're treated at a younger age. So I just wanted to put that out there.
I want to make a quick point. Lou has put in the chat about dentists being people who should be addressed with this as well. Shelley, have fun with it.
That's an interesting statistic there.
Now it is, I mean, in this particular case, dentists probably would not be appropriate for this particular echo series because it's dealing with gynecological bleeding. And we do that because heavy menstrual bleeding is often the first sign of a bleeding disorder in a woman. And that's why we felt it was really critical that we target OBGYNs, because of course, bleeding is normal. Even heavy menstrual bleeding can sometimes be normal, but there are times when it is a symptom of a bleeding disorder, and we want OBGYNs to understand when that is and refer to hematology so that women can get proper diagnosis.
Absolutely. Just like you're doing Project Echo, you guys could probably do a whole other series just for the dentists. That'd be amazing.
Absolutely. I don't disagree.
And then
Wouldn't it help?
Go ahead.
Wouldn't it help Shelley though if the hemophilia treatment centers were to say, oh, Chris, you just had a daughter, or, oh, Chris, I hear you're having a baby. If it's a daughter, maybe we should get her in here at the quickest possible opportunity to check her levels and to, figure out what's going on. So, I mean, I get the whole menstrual cycle part. My daughter's soon going to be approaching that moment of her life, any moment, any day now. But the important part was I was able to get her into a treatment center, and she was able to get tested as soon as she was born. So when she was in a car wreck at the age of 1, or when she did fall and hit her head, or when she did this or did that, and I knew what was going on, so I didn't, maybe let her go be the top tier on a pyramid at cheerleading camp or something like that.
Chris, one of the things we mentioned at our very first meeting, and I know a couple of people had commented in the chat when I brought it up, we looked at what can we do as an organized group. And one of the things that I recommended was exactly that I really, if I had to pick one thing to focus on first as a group personally, I would want to see every young girl tested immediately, just like we test all the boys connected to a carrier mom at birth. I would like to see the girls connected to carrier moms and to diagnosed dads tested at birth for exactly, in fact, I mentioned the same reasons you did. I do not want to see a poor 2-year-old girl end up in a car accident and not already be on a radar first. So I even wonder, Ashley, that's something to consider. Is that
right?
Like
So
a
I
really solid thing that we could.
Well, here's what I want to do. I want to be mindful of the time, and I'm happy to stay on and continue the conversation, but I just wanted to ask everybody that wants to join the working group. So you've got the science and the data, or the tell your story, and Marianne's going to help with that, or Steve and Ray. And just email me at ashley.gregory@hemofoundation.org, and go ahead and know that we're going to have our next meeting after NHF. I won't be there, but Andrea will, and I know Ray's going, and I know a bunch of you
I'll be
other
there.
folks are. So you guys can all have a meeting without me. Maybe you can put me on Zoom on the phone or something. But yeah, anyway, I want to thank everybody who's been on here, and I'm again happy to stay on. The rest of you that want to go can, but if we want to continue this conversation, I'm right here.
I just have one thing to say, and I would love, because the knowledge he has is fantastic, the experience he's been through, and that would ask Chris Templin to write down your story concerning your daughter. We would love to have that story. It is a great example. If you're willing to do that, we will welcome that story.
And then I want to note that Priscilla has had her hand raised. Go ahead, Priscilla.
No, I'm really grateful and glad that the younger girls are going to get the treatment and diagnostic tests that we lacked as senior citizens. And, you know, we're looking at that group, but the senior citizens like me who are suffering from the consequences of not being diagnosed, not being treated, and still being kind of expelled from any treatment because we're just old. And we hurt. And I just want to remind everyone, you're going to get old. So that's what I wanted to say.
There's also still a lot of discrepancy in milds bleeding anyway. You know, yes, a lot of mild men get treatment, but I've talked to a lot of mild men who feel like we do as women, like they still don't get, you know, the care and the treatment. So, you know, that's a whole nother story, I know, but as a woman, sometimes we get so frustrated and we think every man gets treatment, but not every man does.
But I want to say something. I hope that with this initiative is it will open the door for other women who bleed a lot. Is many different diagnoses out there for women who bleed, but unfortunately, up to this time, they refer all the woman only to the gynecologist instead of the doctor seeing how much and how often these women bleed. For example, my oldest daughter, she had menstrual bleedings that sometimes last almost a month. My husband is not her dad. I mean, this is from my first marriage. And I haven't done the factor levels, nothing. And I've been advocating for her. For my other daughter, that she's a carrier because my husband he has hemophilia. It's a completely different story, but again, I mean, the idea only is knowing that she's symptomatic, but she may not have hemophilia. Well, we cannot give her any treatment. We see two different kind of stories, but at the end, the oldest one is the one who bleeds the most, and we have no access to have any diagnosis. So hopefully, and if I talk about just women's reunion that is not within the hemophilia community, I can tell you a number of friends of mine that they complain about the bleedings and the pain and, you know, the struggles that they also have even when they don't have hemophilia. So hopefully these open the door for the treatments of women with different kind of bleedings that they can help to change their lives because they go through the same kind of thing. So that's my point.
I'm also interested in testing because you hear all the time that Bs shouldn't fluctuate, but we do. And I've talked to a lot of doctors and they all say, well, something's wrong with testing, blah, blah, blah. I talked to somebody that works at King George Labs, or I don't know exactly what they're called, but anyway, she said when they get their samples, they do 3 different testing and every one of them are different. So if we can't even get, you know, I've got levels at 30, I've got levels at 60. What are my levels? You know, and so what is the process, you know, to find better testing and new testing? And so that in itself is an issue. You know, if you go and your levels are at 62, they're gonna, one time when I went to the HTC, they were 60, they refused to give me factor. I said, so last year I had a genetic disorder, this year I don't, so again, testing, and I don't know anything about it, but that's always been on my mind, that I think that is hurting us women also.
Yeah, and again, that's why we need to focus on taking care of the bleeding symptom, not the factor level. And and I would just throw out there that heavy menstrual bleeding can be a problem in a lot of different reasons why it can happen. But there is a medication called tranexamic acid. It's also called Lysteta, and it works really, really well for any woman with heavy menstrual bleeding. And so I think that I can put the name of that in the chat, but if you could ask your doctor about that, because it's marketed for women who just don't want to have periods, but it works great for heavy menstrual bleeding. So that's something at least you can do right off the bat. From the standpoint of, again, where do we go first? And I think that we have to document the degree to which bleeding symptoms impact the daily lives of ourselves. So, for example, I had a woman who had so much daily pain from bleeding into her joints and different places. Her factor level was 30%. She was given DDAVP for bleeds. And the DDAVP literally put her in bed for 3 days. And so when I saw her and she started talking about the DDAVP, she was in there with her son with severe hemophilia. And she started asking me if there was anything else she could do because the DDAVP made her so sick. And we put her on prophylaxis, even though her factor levels were only 30%, and this woman was unable to stand for long enough to do the dishes. So she could either help with dinner or help with the dishes, not both. She could not really stand long enough or lift the laundry basket to do laundry. She couldn't go out and have a walk with her family after dinner. I mean, this is a woman who was really, her whole family was suffering. One of her oldest daughter, adolescent, in basically in therapy because her mother's illness had made her so fearful for being out in the world. What's going to happen to my mom when I'm gone? I can't go out with my friends, can't go, out to enjoy my life because I'm afraid for my mom's health. I mean, the entire family is affected. So after we put her on prophylaxis, she emailed me like a 3-page email about how her life had changed. Now, when I sent that to insurance, I didn't have any more problems with getting that woman factor therapy. So when we're talking about bleeding symptoms, women have bleeding symptoms that are typically less severe than their male relatives, and so they dismiss their symptoms, those symptoms have always been there. I have had men who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s. I had one guy who was 80 who needed a lung biopsy. His hemophilia was 30, factor levels between 20 and 30%, and he's totally minimizing his symptoms. Oh, I haven't had any problems with bleeding. I don't bleed at all. I get his wife to start telling me about his bleeding symptoms. Totally different story. Well, honey, don't you remember that time when your whole entire hip was covered with a bruise and you couldn't sit comfortably for several weeks? And so, hemophilia treaters may not have bleeds themselves. They may not be sensitive to what those stories should be. And so as patients, we have to document what we go through and how that affects our ability to move through the world. So there were times that I had, ankle pain from chronic ankle bleeding, and it hurt so much to stand up before I was on prophylaxis. I actually got in trouble from one of my rotations because I wasn't hustling fast enough from between patients. And so, did it occur to me that that was a symptom of bleeding and that I should be on prophylaxis? No, it did not. And I was a resident, so it's, it's subtle how we need to approach describing symptoms of bleeding in women. and we have to describe them. So the idea that we need to talk to women and document their stories and get them out there and tell physicians about them is an important step. And it won't, changing medicine for women will not change until we document the depth and the impact that it has on our ability to perform as humans, as mothers, as wives, as employees, as business owners. And that is one of the things that we really need to focus on. So simply telling the stories in great detail of how bleeding disorder impacts our ability to be a functional human, that's real and powerful. And that's, I think, the piece that we're missing. You know, we've known that women bleed forever, since the Bible, okay? So this is not new. It's out there. But the impact, the way it's affecting our ability to be effective women, that is what we need to share, and we need to be loud about it, and we need to not be afraid. What's going to happen? Oh, well, maybe we might start getting the care that we need. You know, it's okay to be a noisy woman. We have to do it. It's uncomfortable, but we have to. So
I'm glad it's being recorded, because that story you told, if you can get that woman to come forward and get interviewed by Patrick, if she's willing to, or if you are in that case, that's the type of story we need to have. Get the effects it has, the microbleeds that almost every woman I talk with talks about. A very
not every woman who has a factor VIII mutation bleeds, you know, and probably only 30% of women, or maybe, you know, probably about 30% of women who have a factor VIII mutation really have bleeding symptoms. Most don't, thankfully. But except for heavy menstrual bleeding, 80% of women who carry a factor VIII mutation have heavy menstrual bleeding. They may not think of it as a problem, but that has been a well-documented fact, and tranexamic acid works great for that. If that's the only bleeding symptom they ever have, that's great. At least we can treat that one. You know, so it's those women who have symptoms, then we need to just keep talking about those.
Amazing. I feel like we just got a master class. Thank you, Dr. Nance. Well,
You're welcome.
Are we tired yet? Yes?
You know, this is a conversation that could go 24/7. So at some point we just have to say, we're done.
Okay, well, I want to thank everybody who's been on here tonight. Like I said, we'll meet after NHF, but because I mentioned it, some people are actually asking if we are planning on doing a meeting at NHF. I'm gonna let the people who are going talk about that, and we'll decide. But I appreciate everybody. And Ray, did you want to say something before we go?
No, I'd like to thank everybody for their participation and showing up. That's a big step. And from what I heard tonight, the answer is going to lie in a grassroots effort, all voices coming together, and which the answer is within the women's stories. I'd like everybody to go out, and if you could encourage one woman who has hemophilia in her family to document, even though she's not diagnosed, to document some kind of the way she's bleeding, that could be useful being shared down the line. But thank you all for your time tonight, and hope to see you all again. And anybody going to NHF, I'd love to see you there.
I'll be there.
Guys, bye.
Thank you for telling our
Thank you, bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.